the variance and then go through the next step of the process.
Okay.
So y'all approved it, the council approved it, it went to the state, it then got approved through the state, and now we have to do the next step. So it will be it should be at your next planning board meeting for your next level of approval, I believe.
So this property is within the setbacks, and it's just increasing from where it was.
Again, remember that these parcels are townhome parcels, so they're very narrow.
Right,
And under the current code, you couldn't build within that side setback
okay.
if you went anywhere beyond the original footprint. What he's talking about is he wants to increase the footprint in the backyard a little bit, which means that as soon as he steps out the old footprint, he needs a variance for the sides,
Yeah, but
not for the back.
this variance, if we grant this variance, he's still within the setbacks.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Well, the front.
The front and back setbacks, yes.
Yeah, right. And on the
Right.
sides.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
Now, I'd like to, now, I don't think we saw that ordinance before it went through. I asked Bill, he hasn't seen it, I haven't seen it.
The one that did the side setbacks and created the
Don't think so.
townhome?
Nope, I haven't seen it, you seen it, Alex?
Yeah,
What's her planner?
Alora.
She was here. Laura was here for a meeting, and we
Yeah.
talked about,
Now, this was probably 2.5, 3 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was talked about, but I never saw what was in writing.
If you could just route us another one, that would be helpful,
Okay,
and then we'll be up to speed when we see it.
okay.
That'd be great.
We should be able to find the minutes where that got approved. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I remember that, I was.
Yeah, I remember the discussion, but I don't ever remember seeing anything in writing.
Okay. Anybody, any comments from the public? Okay, I'm gonna close the public portion of the meeting. Flip it over to the board. Any comments from the board? Any discussion?
Okay, in the write-up, it says the side setback variance has been approved previously been approved many times. I can remember twice. The first time I wasn't here, the second time we did it to be consistent. And I was afraid that, this stuff was gonna snowball, and that's why we went up with the ordinance change. I am just, I'm really against approving variances when they don't meet the standards of review, and I would prefer that they wait until the ordinance allows them to do that, and they don't need a variance. I mean, if you look at the standards of review, you can argue that the only one that is met by their request is number 6, and that's if you argue that it gives the city more revenue. All the other standards of review are not met. So I would prefer not granting the variance and waiting until the ordinance comes in, and then we don't even have to deal with it.
Okay, but Jim, if they do that, if we wait, then the city's just gonna turn around and approve it. So what's the
Yes.
point of waiting?
Yes, because we're not granting variances.
We have before.
Yeah, we have twice.
It may be about to be 3 times. I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Okay, don't have a second, so the motion does not pass. Does anybody have another motion?
I'd make a recommendation that, I make a motion to recommend the city council that they disapprove the variance request, and all such requests that come forward until the new ordinance is passed.
Okay,
Second.
a second on that motion? Okay, Alex seconds. So basically what we're doing is stepping aside on this one, waiting for the ordinance to take over if we approve this.
Yeah, and if the council wants to do it, to hurry things up, that's fine. I just don't think we should do it.
Okay. Call the roll.
Mr. Driver?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
No.
Mr. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay? Yes.
Okay, so to the council with that one. Next one is 1701 Highway 98 El Governor Motel. And before we open the public hearing, I guess this one's certainly a little more complicated. I'd like to get some background from either Mari or Gina, who's ever up to speed on this one. And then we'll open the public part of the meeting.
Okay, El Governor, Hotel, they're in the process of the remodel. As you guys might remember, the lobby area, the gift shop, the bar, bathrooms, the pool bathrooms, they were all on the ground floor. And now that we have a new floodplain ordinance, that ground floor is below base flood. So their remodel will be what's called a substantial improvement in the Florida Building Code, which will require everything to be elevated to meet base flood. So that's why they're here, to request the variance to the floodplain ordinance, to see if they can put everything back as it was. They're not asking for anything more than what they had. They want to put it back where it was, the same size it was.
So they fall under the same situation that all the homes are that were on slab or slightly elevated, or now have to be substantially elevated.
Correct.
And commercial buildings for that. Okay. All right, and when you say ground floor, is that Highway 98 level or beach level or?
It's about Highway 98 level. Oh, what is it exactly, Lance? Which is
12.02.
maybe a little
What
less than
elevation?
the highway.
Okay.
It's just above the PE 100-year flood line.
All right, let's open up the public part. And
All right, and Lance Watson, Southeastern Consulting Engineer, representing Baxter's Realty, and the El Governor Hotel request for variance to floodplain ordinance. And is all right if I give y'all a couple?
Sure.
Thank you. I got some bigger sets of plans too, if you want to see it, but I've also got some pictures of what was there.
Picture, that's pretty cool. Thank you.
So, as you see in the picture, before the storm and always, there was a gift shop and lobby on the ground floor. There were and still is a mechanical room in the tower, the lower portion of the tower next to the elevator shaft. For all the mechanical equipment, there was pool bathrooms at the pool deck, open bar, covered open patio area as well. And the pool equipment was in the backside of the pool bathroom. And so what we're requesting is nothing more than to go back with what was there, and the floodplain, the request for variance is for wet floodproofing, which would be breakaway walls. So, the ground floor walls will still be required to break away per FEMA regulations, with 20 pounds per square foot pressure. So any wave action that could come in above, we're above the 100-year flood event for the FEMA VE velocity flood zone, but we're below the new 500-year event. So with the new ordinance, that still falls into, if you're in the VE, even if you're above the VE, you gotta meet the VE requirements all the way to the 500-year 0.2 shaded X elevation. So that's where we're at. We're at elevation 12 on the ground level, where the gift shop and lobby would be. We're up another couple feet around the elevation between 14 and 15 on the pool deck, where the bathrooms would be, and the 0.2 shaded X flood elevation is 17. So again, they're requesting only to put back what was there. So that is their hardship, is peculiar to them and the property that they're on, is that this is an existing building, so they'll have the opportunity, as in new, that you would in new construction, to plan around this and make it to where you plan ahead and you have this built into your design. They're working with what was already there in a active nature that's outside of their control. So that's why they're needing to request variance to get this moved forward. Just a little background, as I'm sure most of you don't need, but here it is. The El Governor has been somewhat of a monument in Mexico Beach for years and years, since I know since I can remember, since most of you guys have been here on the street as far back as you can remember well. They have 108 rooms. They provide around $200,000 in bed tax a year, utilities, garbage, over $100,000 contributed per year. Along with, I'll let Marlon speak a little bit on it too when it comes time to the public, but along with being an integral part of the community, not only from a financial standpoint, but just support through all sorts of different activities and events. They just want to build back what they have and be able to go back to the exact state they were required on. They're not asking for anything outside of that. They're not asking for a variance to expand their footprint and setbacks. They just want to bring back what was there so they can get back to business and back into bringing visitors into the community and provide a nice place to stay.
Okay.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is this is similar to the shell shack variance that was approved. The non-similarity is that it's not new construction, unlike shell shack, so they are limited to what they can do. They can't just incorporate this elevated lobby into their brand new design, because that's not what they're doing here. They're trying to rebuild something that can rebuild in the constraints of what the structure, the superstructure is still there.
Okay. Anybody else? Are you done?
My name is Kathy Sloan.
Yes,
My dad, Don Baxter, built the Governor Motel, and it was quite a challenge for him. He was able to open in 1989. And prior to that, the city could not accommodate the sewage. So he had to build his own sewage plant. And it took 3 years to get the permit, but he had this vision and he just fought it till he finally had made this happen. And he did a lot for this community. He did an awful lot for it. He donated the first engine for the dredge that dredged the canal back, I don't know, some of you might have been here back then, but anyway, I want our manager, Wally Petty, to speak and let us, y'all know the things that we contribute to the community.
Thank you.
My name is Wiley Petty. I'm the manager of the El Governor. I also serve on the board for the Tourist Development Council that I've been on for about 10 years. And I'm currently the chairman for special events that raises the money for the fireworks for the display that we put on the other day, which I thought was pretty magnificent and helped, I think, our community think and realize that Mexico Beach is coming back. So it was kind of a cool thing. I've been the manager at the El Governor since 1997. I'm 50 years old now, so it's been a little bit of a while. And through my experience at the El Governor, it's always been my goal to make sure that the El Governor, when you think of the El Governor Mexico Beach, you think of it in a positive way. I try to do that. I don't live in Mexico Beach right now. I live in Callaway. But I try to, when somebody asks me where I'm from, I say Mexico Beach. Because this is where my soul is. So through my endeavors at the El Governor, Kathy has been so generous to let me post. I couldn't even give you a list of all the things that we posted. Women's domestic violence, Humane Society. We provided a venue for memorial services for people in the community who have passed. We have done so many things for the community. We don't right now presently have any income coming in at the El Governor or the RV Park, but we just sent out the donation letter. And our biggest contributor to the fireworks fund was Kathy and David Sloan. So they always try to do their part. And we just would love for the El Governor to come back to its iconic state so that it could be a part of Mexico Beach, that when people think of Mexico Beach, they think of the El Governor. And we would just really appreciate it. It's within your power to approve or disapprove this variance. And we really would love to continue to be a partner with the city and move in the right direction with your approval of this variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public portion of the meeting. Open it to the board. I'm going to start with a question for Gina. Gina, can you explain to us the insurance situation that we're under as far as if this were granted? Are there any repercussions for that, or where are we on that?
Okay, so the city recently in April got accepted into the community rating system. That's through the National Flood Insurance Program. And the community rating system basically rates your community on how well you deal with your floodplain issues, whether or not you comply with your own ordinances. There's a number of different things. So however many points you get, that directly affects how much everybody's insurance is. So the entire community gets a discount on insurance if we have a certain number of points. And that discount is more the more points you get. It's like a tiered system. So that's the insurance repercussions. The city's been trying to get into that system for 2 or 3 years now, I know. And there were some outlying issues that had to be resolved, some non-conforming structures. I believe Mr. Hogan over there was one of them. And they everything finally got resolved and got accepted. So everything we do from April on affects that system. How much it affects it, I don't really know.
I do.
Okay.
It's 5% for every decrease in the points, okay? So theoretically, we could be at a class 1, which would mean 50% reduction. 50% reduction in flood insurance for everybody, homeowners, businesses, everyone in the community.
This is federal flood insurance
Yes.
program? Okay.
FEMA.
FEMA,
I've
yeah.
delved into it deeply. We have done many of the things that are required to make this happen. All of these public meetings we've had, all those things feed into our point system. And we have a very good chance of being in the ballpark to get between 30 to 50% reduction in the cost of flood insurance for every homeowner and every business in the city. So, you know, when that storm hit us, the word was we were going to build back stronger. And so we've tried. We've passed an ordinance, and I hate to see us back out of it. We worked hard, and if we do this, then we're going to slide back.
Okay, Lorraine, let me ask you, you said, when we're talking about how much, so let's say that's the only thing that doesn't meet the standard, how much is that gonna cost everybody that has flood insurance?
I can't tell you an exact amount.
Can you guesstimate?
I could say that it'll probably be at least 5% down from what we would normally have.
So if we're saying we pay $250, then we're gonna, somebody's gonna end up paying $12 more.
Yeah, so that's not much. But then when you look at the whole realm of how many people that is, and how far it goes across, every homeowner, plus the fact, we've made all these homeowners do this. We put a hardship on them. They've been here talking to us about it, and we've made them all do it. So, you know, we said we were gonna come back stronger. I appreciate the things that the governor represents for the community, and I have no problem with that, but at the same time, why can't they move the lobby to the first floor?
So that begs a question I have for you, Lance. How far have they gotta come up if they move the lobby to make that base floor?
They would have to go up to they would have to raise it up, about 8 feet.
Okay, and why does that not meet the new rebuild concept?
Sir?
Why does that not, you said it doesn't fit in with the concept for the new rebuild. Why can't they do that?
The building is existing, so they don't, it's not set up for all the traffic to be going to, there's not a corridor set up to transport everybody coming in and out to,
But there could be,
there what?
there could be.
With major modifications to the structure, I guess there could be, and loss into major structural modifications. There's firewalls throughout here, so fire rating the building will be compromised. You would have, because you can't put all that in one, you can't put that in one room. So, I mean, the rooms are, what, 12, 15 feet wide, so there would have to be major modifications to the structure of the building.
Okay.
And why are we just now coming with this variance? Wasn't this in the planning when the development orders were reissued and the plans were submitted?
This has
Was this-
this has been the process all the time. The immediate thing was to make the building safe, so that's where the time came from, stabilizing the foundation, making sure the building was safe to be in, to do the renovations, and to get everything back to control.
Can I speak?
Sure.
My name is Kevin Land. I am the agent for contractor Coy Bill Incorporated. I've been out here since the very first day. We have been told since the beginning, and this has just now come up in the last few months, that we couldn't do certain things. All along, we have been able, working with Gina Johnson and the EPCI group, we've been told from day one, we could build back, that there was no problems. At the point when we were going after the permits and we've done our developmental order, we've supplied everything that has been asked from us, whatever drawings was needed, whatever permits was needed, we've done it all. So at this point in time, to stop what's going on, because we can't, right now, we don't have a place to put a lobby, we don't have a place to put a new mechanical room, and we understand Mexico Beach's assets go up. The reason we can't go up underneath is there's a structural support beam that goes underneath the whole motel that is approximately, 2.5 feet thick. So if we were to go 2.5 feet up, we're gonna walk through a 6-foot tall lobby, which is incapable. If we go into the point of trying to build over towards the pool area with a second floor system, we're probably talking about another $1 million. At some point, the pocket's gonna run out of money. Right now, we have an ability to build back as we were. The owner has never, we hauled over $500,000 of debris out of that motel. We've never got 1 penny of reimbursement for all this. So the governor has paid their own bills all the way through. We've never asked the city, the county, we've never asked Gina for anybody to come up and say, hey, we don't have the money to do this, but we're getting close. I'm the guy that runs the budget. And it's a very hard thing to sit here and look at. All we need is the lobby back. We need the structure back underneath where people can come visit. And at this point, to not have a mechanical room where we got it, we're gonna have to move the switch gear that operates 108 rooms up to the second floor. Now we've got to tear out electrical that we never had. We've got mains coming in from every room on the building that comes into that area, that operates.
That's integrated, that's part of the structure at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
to reroute that mechanical room is to remove, redesign, and rebuild a large.
The whole place
percentage
is stopped.
of the structure.
Well, I'm not a construction person like yourself, but I've gone through some rebuilding for a house. And we were certainly aware that the rules had changed after the storm, and there were gonna be elevation requirements that we met. There were several town meetings regarding where the elevations were gonna be. There was a map outside the town hall that we all looked at to figure out how high we're gonna have to go. So, yes, you can rebuild, yes, you can rebuild,
Which is what we've been told,
but there are certain requirements to rebuild, just like when a person rebuilds their house, I can't put it on a slab, I gotta put it up in the air. So I think that there might have been some misconception on putting things together for you guys if you didn't take into consideration all what's been talked about all through town for almost 2 years now on the whole elevation thing. So I don't think it's a big surprise in my mind. It's something that we just dumped on you at the
Well,
last minute.
Yeah,
So-
we go back to December of 2018, when we started doing the destruction, doing the cleanup. And we have a letter coming from the Mexico Beach, City of Mexico Beach, saying that you're under 50% and you can rebuild. At that point, if we would have known, which nobody did at that point, there was no rules and regulations, no variance being given or anything. So all we knew is we could build back exactly what was there, because that's what the letter, pretty much how we look at it, is we could build back. It doesn't say now, you can build back, but you're gonna have to raise the building up in here. None of that was ever, even when speaking with Gina for all the months that she and I have talked over the past year and a half, none of this was brought up. As far as now she and I have talked about, we gotta raise up the mechanical room. We gotta raise this part up. I said, okay, can we get some variances? It has been talked about.
I have something to say.
Let's get Gina first, you know,
Okay.
we'll get to Dave.
When El Governor, when Kevin came to get the remodel permit for the El Governor, we asked for an elevation certificate, we got one. We talked about the first floor being fine. Everything below the first floor was gonna have serious problems. That was the first time we talked. We brought that in, that's why
Can you
the
see-
remodel permit was only for the first floor and above, because nothing could be done on the ground floor. There were issues. It was known, it was discussed. Otherwise, we would have given you a permit to do the whole thing.
I understand that, yeah. And we've tried to work with y'all on this, and now,
But that was a long time ago, we had that discussion. It wasn't just
Yes.
a few months ago. That was a long time ago.
well, that discussion though, at that point, Judy, you had talked about that there's gotta be a way to work all this out, and you agree with that. Now, no, there's nothing in writing, because we can't get stuff in writing. I can send emails all day long, but I get phone calls, but I don't get anything in writing.
From who?
You,
Okay.
doesn't happen. You called me the other day, send me an email, I love the paper trail, send me an email,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
Well, we can get this straight.
So I think I think we should probably move on from that. That's in the past, and we're trying to.
That's what's killing us.
Dave?
what, the ordinance that was passed that allowed everybody to build back in the same footprint, was that, and did that include commercial property also?
I believe so, it didn't exclude it, I don't think.
It's included commercial truck.
One question I asked Law.
Is,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
is a swimming pool considered an auxiliary piece of, part of a property? So if I would have had a pool in my yard, and my house is blown away, can I put it back under that ordinance?
I don't know, Gina would, I don't know, why not?
Was the pool,
Yeah, just say for instance, the ordinance says I could rebuild my home if it was on there.
correct,
If I had a swimming pool, was it considered an auxiliary thing that did not?
it's an accessory structure, just.
So it would not have,
Correct.
One question I did have for the flood insurance rating. Because I'm assuming, and I don't know this, I'm asking, I'm assuming that they looked at all the past, everything the city's done to raise the structures up, to increase their flood elevation on the, requirements to go to build back. What was discussed, or what, and I don't know if they itemized it out, but was there any discussion on the effect of the shell stack already having been done prior to their review and still moving forward? The reason I ask is because I'm assuming if not, and they granted it, that the rare case, and this is a rare case, there's been two, or there's been one, this would be the second, but to my knowledge, that it would be minimal because it still was granted, it still was, that was part of the review process, and that was, public knowledge in meeting that it's available to find, and it was still granted. So that just leads me to believe that it's fairly minimal as long as it's kept minimal, and it has been. There's only been, to my knowledge, and I could have missed the meeting when one was approved, but to my knowledge, there was one, this would be two. And that's just my thought process, that had to be minimal, they still approved it as one being already approved, same situation.
Yeah, certainly you are right. My understanding is it's just that one that's been approved, and that was ADA access sidewalk situation, not a central plan. I think, I know it's expensive, but if we think ahead, I think Carla was the last one before this one or whatever. Had that been raised back then, we wouldn't have had perhaps the damage at the El Governor that we had this time.
This
So
structure's raised, it would be flood, and that's the point of flood proof. Their design is supposed to look like walls supposed to go, and it protects the structure. So another thing that fails was the retaining wall, which would be built to go back, so there wouldn't be so much scout. But I don't even know if this is a request I can make, but would it be worth because I don't know the policy, I don't know what they looked at or what they do look at as part of the agreement. I feel like for the council to make a sound decision, they should know the effect. Is it minimal? Is it not minimal? If it's not minimal, maybe it's, maybe right now we want to, not everybody, but there is and will be people that want to deny this because it can be not minimal, but they don't know. But if it is minimal, then make a decision on it not being minimal to the effects, then I just feel like this misinformation that could be taken care of between now and next Tuesday.
well, certainly we can see if we can find that, but the trouble I have with it globally is it's very important to you. It doesn't matter to me. The next person's gonna have another one, it's very important. Brand new structure, don't wanna pay to raise it up, so it's a line in the sand that you almost are forced to work
A
on.
new structure, there's no reason not.
This is not
I
If we were building a new structure, it would be 100% to code.
Right, it would have to be.
And we've done everything else to code. We've spent millions of dollars bringing everything up to
If
code.
it was a
But
new,
we cannot raise a concrete building, it can't be done.
if it was a new structure, I wouldn't be here, it'd be incorporated into the plan. I wouldn't be a part of the request. You may get the request, but it wouldn't be for me, because I would incorporate it, so I don't think you should. And this is not a situation, there's not much.
Was the structure more than 50% damaged?
Not, it was not substantially damaged, no,
Okay.
but it is a substantial improvement.
So it isn't a minor remodel, it's a substantial
Correct,
improvement, which then falls into meeting the codes.
correct.
In your magic ball, do you have any other ones that you think might be faced with a similar situation? Commercial?
The only ones I can think of would be new. I can't think of any existing remodels that would be in this situation. Maybe one of the condos might be one, but I can't think of any.
Did you have something, Ann? Did you have your hand up before? Okay. I thought you were an expert on it.
I have a question for the manager. What happens if the council doesn't grant this variance?
They would go back to the drawing board and provide an alternate.
Well, that's what I'm asking. You gonna do that if the council doesn't grant the variance? You're not gonna answer me?
I don't know what you want me
No,
to
I'm
tell you.
asking.
Oh, I thought you were looking at me.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was your
the
question?
question is, what happens if the city council doesn't grant the variance?
Well, as manager, it would fall upon the owners to decide what would happen at that point. I mean, I manage the property when it's up and running.
I really have no idea how we would, I'm sure we'll figure some way of checking people in. I have no clue at the moment what that is. And it will, but whatever it is, it's gonna eliminate a lot of our area where our guests enjoy, and we're able to have all these functions that help the city out. And without that, we're not gonna be able to do those things. I mean, that's just the way it appears to me. I don't know what we'll do.
Now, Mario, by ordinance, can they rebuild the office back there, is that? Based upon the
I
footprint?
believe, based on the fact that they went to a substantial improvement, is what precludes them from going back to the exact footprint.
Yeah, they can rebuild, access for the building. So what you can build below base flood is access to the building, storage, or parking of vehicles.
Right, the office that was on the first floor on the left.
It wouldn't be an office, but there could be building access down there, so elevators, stairways.
So then where would the office be? If-
Second, the first elevated level.
Okay, so if this ordinance, if this variance doesn't pass, they've got to build a structure to put the office.
Correct.
I guess.
And remove most of the structure that the mechanical equipment was in, because it's part of the structure, it runs through the cast in place, wall, floor, through, it's all integrated, and it's not just as easy as moving the AC, and this is a big deal, and a lot of equipment. And
Now, in the ideal world, if you had all the millions of dollars to build a brand new structure, how long will it take you to get that done?
To build a brand new
To
structure,
build a brand new structure with a pool, office, everything in it, per ordinance?
yeah, years. And we're losing $400,000 a year to the city for bed tax and water and utilities and garbage and everything else. And I guess that kind of brings me back to the reason we're here, because this, and I know a couple of you are out, one of you moving out. I personally would not be presenting this variance if this were a new construction, because I have the opportunity in new construction to build code that I know is present. I'm here because this is non-reconstruction, and this is a very, very substantial addition, cost-wise, time-wise, everything, if we were to have to, not if we couldn't put back what was there. And again, they're not asking for anything else, they just want mechanical work, back where mechanical work was. The lobby where the lobby was, and the bathroom was, and that's it. And I wouldn't be here if this were new construction, because there's no reason to be here. We can design accordingly, and we are confined at this point, and that's the only reason we're here asking for this.
But how long would it take to build a structure if you had all
A new structure?
a new structure?
Probably, that would probably from design to build, 3-4 years.
So what would the plans be? I don't know when the old governor's plan to be open, but what's the plans for the offices? Can there be a temporary one? Could they, I mean, you don't have an office right now, right?
It's more than just the office.
So you got a building that you can't rent because you don't have an office.
They'll have AC, water, gas, nothing.
We can't put the mechanical room and hook the building up. We have temporary power, so you can't even electrify the building to rent it.
Good grief.
And so my understanding is the negative, if you guys do not vote to approve the variance, the negative is a negative that you don't even know how much of a negative it's gonna be, basically. You don't even know what the impact would be. So, and all I know is that the El Governor is the economic engine of Mexico Beach. With the amount of people that it brings in between the RV park and the motel, I mean, if you want Mexico Beach to really wake up and see things really happening at supply and demand, help us move forward, help us get it. Because, I mean, we are an integral part of the town. We want to continue to be a part of the town. We just need some help with this.
I just want to stress again, I'm not been hammering on this, but they're only asking for nothing more than put back what was there in the confined space that they had before and still have.
This basically comes down to two basic questions, you know, which side are you gonna go on? El Governor represents a significant amount of income to the city itself, and then business for all the other businesses and for the citizens of the community. So you've got an income producing entity on one side, and then on the other side, something that fails to meet any of the standards of review for the variance. And it's a hard choice, and I know where you're coming from. But I'm really scared of what's gonna happen if the old governor is 2 or 3 years down the road from coming up to speed. What's gonna happen to the city? The city's gonna end up, rebuild is gonna be slower and slower and slower. And I'm the guy that's always saying we don't grant variances, okay? Because it creates something that can happen. Well, you gave a variance to him, give a variance to me. I think this is a special situation. And, you know, given what this would mean to the city as a whole, yeah, granted it might cost each taxpayer X amount of dollars extra, but what's it gonna mean to the city as a whole if it doesn't get rebuilt and doesn't get rebuilt soon? So, you know, I would basically go on this situation against what I normally do and say, I really think that we need to approve this variance, or at least recommend to the council that they approve the variance, and if the council doesn't want to approve it, then it's on them, it ain't on us.
In the back?
Yeah, my name is Bubba Harmon. I've been here from the beginning, saw the LDR develop to the comprehensive plan, and I don't know if you can understand how the LDR was adopted by students with a grant. But anyway, when it was adopted, it was brought before the city. The people, FSU students, along with the person that presented it, held up the book and said, this is to be used, quote, with common sense. It's not the Bible. It doesn't mean as the city grows, you can't change as it grows. He said, don't let that book hinder you from development. But again, he said, don't just go and make crazy decisions. This decision here is pretty much common sense. I mean, I've done building and development around here from the beginning. And I'm just going to tell you, I know how the building's built. I'm not a building contractor, I'm a developer in real estate. But it's just not common sense to tear the whole building down. Basically, what you're going to have to do to try to get what you're asking for simply because the building wasn't tore down during a hurricane anyway. all you're trying to do is they're just trying to get what was already there just basically fixed. And they're doing everything over to make it look better, but the structure is just like it was. And to ask me or anybody else, I mean, I've got 170 acres that annexes Mexico Beach, and I'm coming here because I was wanting to see what it's going to be like to annex into the city. I've got some developers coming in wanting to do kind of like what's down at Bonfire down there. But right now, I don't see a whole lot of common sense being used like the LDR was designed to be used. And I don't mean to criticize you, but I've been here from the beginning. I've seen council and I've seen people on the planning and zoning that come in, they mean well, but they just sometimes don't understand at the beginning what it's all about. I do understand where you have to deal with this person, well, he did this and he did that. But that's where you've got to make the decisions with common sense. That's all I have to say.
Just, I'd like to add too, and then as far as how you answer to the next person who wants to do this, this is a textbook definition hardship case, not brought on by the owner themselves, not brought in the natural disaster caused this. There's nothing they could have done. The building's still there. They are confined in the spaces that they have. The complete definition of a hardship that was not brought on by the owners themselves.
Well, I'd just like to comment back on that, and I don't disagree with what Mr. Harmon said, but everybody in the city just about went through a hardship. So
Right.
to say the Governor has a hardship and nobody else who lost their homes
That's not
or
saying-
had a,
that's not-
didn't
I
have
say
a hardship.
new construction, you have the opportunity to incorporate this. I design over 100 structures in Mexico Beach a year now, probably 50 prior to the storm, probably 200 between Franklin County and Bay County alone. So I understand completely all the municipalities' rules, all the restraints we have, the setbacks, the density, everything. And we design within that, because it's new construction, that's what you have to do. This is not new construction, and we do not have that luxury. And like I said, and all of you know, I mean, I try my best to, I don't take on projects I don't believe in. I would not be in front of you presenting this as new construction, I just would.
You've said that, appreciate it.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
That structure was there when, I'm David Storm, by the way. Structure was there when Opal came through. Opal came through one day, we were renting rooms the next day, same lobby and everything. We thought Opal was gonna be the worst one we ever saw, until we had this cat fight. Yeah, we got in there the next morning, cleaned the mud out the floor and stuff like that. But before the day was over, we were renting rooms. Same setup that we're trying to just go back.
Got it.
We
So,
sure would appreciate your help.
so it's got some proven abilities, let's
Yes.
say. Okay, great. Okay, anybody else? Good comments? Yes, sir.
We're not talking about doing all the ground floor from one end to the other. We're not talking about that mass amount of square footage. We're talking about the office and the mechanical room. That's it. And it can be limited to that by this group and approved by this group, so that it's understood. You can't go beyond the boundaries of what was there.
Okay. I think the bathroom also was included in what was being said, which makes sense to have the bathroom on the same level as the pool. I'm
Now,
not
the
gonna
mechanical
argue
rooms are
that.
still there, walls, floor, everything. The precast.
Good. All right, anybody else before we close it and go to the board? Thank you for all your comments. Going to close the public portion of the meeting, open it up to the board for comments and thought. Jim, you've...
I've already, I'm sorry,
said yours.
I was out,
Okay.
I started sitting on it.
No, I appreciate it.
I thought
David,
we had
anything?
gone
Bill, is there anything regarding federal government rules here that says that they would have to, I mean, I'm not quite sure that, can we make this decision and Mario, is there anybody up the line, the state or the federal government, that's gonna come in and stop them from doing this? I mean, are they violating anything above us?
No,
I don't-
Gina?
no, they would meet, the plans that we've talked about, we met with them, a couple months ago. And they would meet all the state requirements, Florida building code, everything like that. So it's the floodplain ordinance. Floodplain ordinance points to the Florida building code, which points back to the floodplain ordinance. So, but if they get a variance to the floodplain ordinance, then they will meet all the other.
So they will not have to go higher power for lack of a better phrase.
No, I mean, they'll be going to DEP, but that'll be, yeah, regardless of this decision.
CCCLI.
Yeah.
Our one member had to step out, but, went through her information that she had,
And she's told me the way she wants to vote,
okay.
if you'll believe me.
Then it looks like the point system, there's 4,500 points available, and then the lowest class is 2,000 points. So I think what we need to do is kind of hammer that down a little bit and at least have that number, however we vote, before it goes to council. So we've talked about that, to have that number, and I don't think that would be too difficult to do, to at least take a stab at that, to have more information. So we'll put that back on us to do prior to the council vote. So
She won't be against.
that's okay, we can pull the information and at least take a stab at it, or if we can't figure it out, then we'll tell them we can't figure it out.
But I agree with what Jim said about the L governor provides a lot for the community. I don't particularly like how we got here. It seems to me like there was some poor planning somewhere down the road, that we're this far down the road and this stuff is just now coming up. I don't get that part, but then again, taking my personal, I'm personally against it, but man, they're from a rock and a hard spot with this building.
And it's an economic generator, there's no
Yeah.
question about that. When you take the number of rooms times the number of people, visitors, food places and stuff like that, it's a big number.
Yeah.
Taxes, bed tax, everything. So we appreciate it and we're happy to
I have one more question for Lance, okay? Is this what we're talking about, the mechanical room, the lobby, the pool, and the restroom? Is there anything else we're talking about?
Just the pool house, which is just the restroom, pool equipment, the cabin room, and lobby where it was. That's
So no restroom then?
It's, the restroom's included, but it's even above, it's 2 to 3 feet above the lobby ground floor. So
But
it's-
the variance still would,
Yes,
the
sir.
restroom still requires a
Variance
variance.
covers that.
Okay, got it.
Bathroom, mechanical, and lobby.
which would keep the pool or the restroom on the same level as the pool.
Right.
If you raise the restroom up, you'd have to go upstairs now. Okay? Anybody else? Gina, any other further comments, or Mario, anything? This is a big one. Okay,
Yeah.
good discussion.
I have a motion made.
Okay, Jim?
I move that we recommend the council approve the variance as it relates solely to the mechanical room, the lobby, the pool house, and the restroom.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second. And we have enough to vote, so call the roll, please.
Mr. Driver?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
No.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Bush?
Yes. Ms. Lindsay votes no.
Okay. So be it. On the council. All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
That's 3 2.
Yes?
Okay, sorry, just want to make sure.
You've used up your,
I agree with that. There's no way in hell we should have come up this late.
No, I mean, this stuff is,
I don't think, I'm sure Gene was on top of that.
what I want, it's like somebody coming in with a gun to your head.
okay, next one up. Minor replat, 123 and 125 Ocean Plantation Circle. Gonna open the public hearing part. Is anybody here representing those properties? Lance, are you on this one?
No, sir, I'm not, I don't think, let me make sure. No. I don't know, I don't know about it.
Okay. Let's get to it. Jeannie, do you have any background on this one, since nobody's here?
Just, they want to combine 2 lots so they can build a bigger house
Okay.
and still meet impervious and
Kind of
setbacks.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Any other public comments? Okay, I'm gonna close the public part, open to the council, or to our board. Any comments from the board?
This to me is a no-brainer, we've approved these in the past, I see no
Totally
reason not to
agree.
approve this one.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve this, request for a variance.
Do we have a second?
Second.
If we're going too fast, you gotta stop us and tell us.
Who, me?
Yes.
No.
Oh, Lynn is fast, man.
She knows she can go back and look at the tape.
Yeah, I'm all good. Okay. You ready?
We're ready.
Okay, Mr. Driver,
Yes.
Mr. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Masters,
Yes.
Mr. Bush.
Yes.
Okay, on to the council. All right. Next one. 715th Street. The cottages at Paradise Cove. Do we have a representative, or is Gina gonna give us a backup?
Josh Baxter with Dewberry, representing the owner. I mean, this is a just under a 6-acre parcel on 15th Street. And we're proposing 40 total residential units, 28 single family and 12 townhomes / apartments. They're basically 4 triplexes. We had a couple of comments in the preliminary plat, that Gina may cover more in depth, but we answered all the comments. Pretty straightforward. Meets the density, meets setbacks, no variance request. Just a preliminary plat for your request.
Okay. And, this is the one, I believe, that has both low-density, housing. It's two different kinds of.
Yeah,
housing.
Commercial and low density.
Commercial, low-density, so walk us through the low-density setbacks, meeting the setback.
I'll have to fix the plan set, because I don't have setbacks in front of me.
Okay. Gina, do you remember from your review, you're looking also?
You're talking about the new lots that are created or the existing low density?
I'm looking for, as we always do, I'm just looking for anything that doesn't meet the setbacks of either the low-density portion or the commercial portion. As far as the 20 feet, 7.5, 10, that whole program, the way everything's laid out, I wanna make sure we're not giving up anything on those sides. Or if we are, we know about it, that's.
The parcel that's low density residential will be split into single family homes. So those lots will have the low density residential setbacks on them. The portion that's general commercial is where the triplexes are going.
Yes,
And they meet current setbacks, commercial setbacks.
current commercial setbacks, okay. Both height and, setbacks from the property lines.
Street, sidewalks.
We don't have, vertical plans yet. These are just.
How high is it gonna be?
Talking about the townhomes.
Yes,
We won't do the vertical part, but I don't think they're to the point of architectural plans yet, so at this time, I don't know how.
Yeah, it's just a preliminary plat.
But
okay.
Do you know if there's gonna be any commercial, businesses going in there?
no, sir, that's what we were talking about. You'll have single family residential lots and then the townhome portion, so it's all residential.
So as far as you're concerned, Janine, everything right now is in accordance with the zoning law,
Yes.
based on what they're doing. Okay.
Okay. comments from the public? Any follow-up comments from Mario or Gina? Anybody? Okay, we're gonna close the public portion. Go over to the board. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, we're only talking about a preliminary plat right here, so we don't have all the details. But as long as everything, according to Gina, meets the requirements for the LDR, it's obvious that, to me, I think we should recommend approval of the council.
It's not a zoning change, they're meeting the densities
We're
of
meeting
what's
meeting
existing,
everything.
so that's an easy one, easier. Okay, good. All right, do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we recommend approval of the council of the preliminary plat as stated in the abstract.
We have a second?
Second.
Call the roll when you're ready.
Mr. Driver,
Yes.
Mr. Hogan,
Yes.
Mr. Masters,
Yes.
Mr. Bush.
Yes.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda, I believe I asked for, which is condemned building removal discussion. I'm getting, comments, questions, I won't say concerns, but some uncomfortable concerns, you might say, from residents and citizens, and I just wanted to kind of flush this out in the open a little bit and see if there's anything. Number one, find out what we're doing. Number two, find out kind of the status of where we are. Do we have 100? Do we have 50? Do we have 10? And then see what our game plan is moving forward. And then more importantly, is there anything as a planning and zoning group that we can do to help in this particular situation to clean some of these up and make our town look better? So, Gina, I think you were nice enough to provide the sheet on the last sheet in our packet, which kind of gives us a breakdown of where we are on the different ones.
Yeah.
Kathy did.
Kathy did that.
Kathy did, okay.
Yeah.
So, tell us about this list. This is an ongoing, updated list if we do.
It is a working list that Kathy is in charge of, and keep in mind, all of the properties that are in bad shape in one shape, form, or another have received a letter at this point. Some of them have contacted Kathy to let them know that they're in probate, that they're in insurance claims, or that they're in the process of getting a contractor to demolish, or if they got no response, then they're being advised to go in and tear things out. Unfortunately, none of it is simple. As you all know, with your insurance woes throughout this whole process, there are still people that are waiting on insurance to tell them what they can and cannot do with homes. One of the last stories that I heard was a house that they were told that was not 50%, but had a garden hose that was underneath the slab on grade, which meant that the whole house had to be lifted up for a garden hose to get underneath it. So there are still complications with the properties. Code enforcement is pushing things as hard as they can. We still have people that come back and are questioning about floodplains and elevation certificates and 50% in insurance. I mean, on a weekly basis, we still get calls from insurance companies that are still trying to work things out. So it's slow, it's frustrating. We are working on it, and this list shows you a whittled down version, because when Kathy first started this, that was probably 4 pages worth of spreadsheet. So there has been an effect. Again, every day that you drive through town, you see another building coming down or another lot being cleared. So it's not from lack of effort, it's just, it's complicated.
Do we, I think I know the answer to this question, do we have any funds federally, state, or city funds to go in and take care of these and then put it on the tax roll so they can't sell the property without paying us?
If the house was a primary home, there are funds that are available. Unfortunately, a majority of the homes that are left were not primary homes, they were rental homes. So once they're a rental home, It's not an option to qualify for FEMA funds. Insurance isn't always providing enough to tear down and haul off, so that's a complication. When you've got someone that literally can't afford to do the demolition, it's kind of hard to force someone to do that. And then the city's between a rock and a hard spot because it's not like we have the spare funds to go in, tear it down, haul it off, and then put it on their tax roll. The city could be stuck with that tax roll bill for many years, and right now we're still trying to get our arms around what funds we do and do not have to build back the city and its own building. So it's not, we don't have the sufficient funds to go in and do this proactively. And then you get into the complication of insurance and probate, and those we can't afford to get involved in because then we'll get sued because we tore something down that people haven't agreed to.
The other thing that, and I appreciate that, that's kind of what I expected. The other question I have is, so I settle with insurance. What mechanism, I'm an owner, have a property that should be demoed. What mechanism is there to know, if any, that I've settled? Because I could just take the money, sit on the property, not do anything, and keep putting the town on. So that's,
I don't know that the
Little bit of
insurance
fun.
company gives you the funds until you've got receipts for the demolition, so again, not knowing all the particulars on all the different scenarios, I can't tell you what some people are doing. It feels like some people are getting their insurance settlement and then they're just walking off, but I'm not sure that they can truly do that because there's also a note, because they've got insurance, because they had a loan of some shape, fashion, or form, and I'm sure that the bank isn't just letting them do things unless they take the funds that they got from the proceeds of the house, pay off the balance of their mortgage, and then they
But
leave a
how-
mess.
How many of these properties do we know are insured at all? I mean, what if they were just sitting there uninsured?
Again, without looking at each one and
I suspect a lot
identifying
of
it,
these were not insured.
I would venture to say that a good number do not have insurance.
well, it seems like we should at least, and I know the workload's tremendous, but it seems like we ought to at least have a letter into the insurance company or the bank that has the lien on the property to let them know that the property should be brought back to a normal condition prior to the funds being released. So we can at least hold our hand out, get our money in there, at least make them aware of that so it doesn't slip by us. And I know that's not a case-by-case situation, it takes a lot of time, so,
Our only mechanism is the owner, and if that owner transfers to a bank, then yes, we can deal with the bank, but again, we're somewhat limited to the only entity that.
why is that? Because we could do a title search and figure out who they have a loan with, if there's a loan on the property, and then at least send that bank a letter saying, by the way, here's a picture of the property. We estimate it's gonna cost $0 to $10,000 to take it down, and we'd like for you to
But
consider.
at the end of the day, you can't hold the bank liable, it's only the owner that's liable.
And again, that would imply that they had a loan on the property.
Right.
You know, insurance and a loan, which, you know, if you start doing the math on that, I suspect a lot of these were not, they're just
Sure.
not insured and probably outright owned.
Again, one of the phone calls that I dealt with just the other day was older person, owned it outright, doesn't have the funds, has too many other issues on their own home and their own life to deal with something that's out of sight, out of mind here.
Then they should
And-
sell it. That's my comment.
No, I wholeheartedly agree, they should sell it, it's just, again, when you listen to some of these stories,
I
they're
understand,
very
but If
complicated.
you listen to the neighbor's story that's
Oh,
looking
I
at it
wholeheartedly
every day,
agree.
and the owner's in who knows where,
Mhm.
out of sight, out of mind, doesn't have to worry about it, and the next door neighbor's fighting it every day. I don't think that's fair to our citizens. And I guess what I'm saying is, give it some thought, kick it around. If there's anything the board can do, even some legwork that we can do to find out who, what, when, and where, or whatever that you don't have time to do, we'd be happy to at least get something rolling on that, identify some and do it within reason. And I don't want to be punishing, but at the same time, I want to be first in line. I want the city to be first in line to know that if those funds become available, or if you have something that you can't take care of, a pet, a car, a house, then you need to get rid of it and sell it and give it to somebody that can. And I feel pretty strongly on that. So, and that's easy to say. It's not me that's in that situation. So anyway, whatever we can do to help, I think you're doing great here. I'm keeping track. I can tell you from a legal standpoint, I would keep these going. Like, don't update this list. Put a note underneath the next one. Try to contact them on the 20th. Try to contact them on the next month on the 20th or whatever, so you have a running tab. So if we do end up in court, or we do end up,
We have a good record.
we have a good record rather than just the most recent update. Those things tend to get away from us. So I'd recommend that.
And what is the process when the city eventually gets down before they force the issue?
If we force the issue, the city has adopted an ordinance that allows us, if we do physical work on the property, to put it on their tax roll. And that's actually better than a lien, because a lien, you have to wait for it to sell, versus if you put it on the tax roll, then
Do we have to go to the court, or is there an order, or can the city just say, okay, this house needs to come down and we can do it?
again, the city has to go through the bidding process to do a demolition and or a clearing. It has to procure the contract, it has to do the work, and then it has to basically just once or twice a year, the city would actually read in all of the cost and send that to the property appraisers.
What point in time will we do this though? I've been trying for a year to get my lot next to me cleared. And obviously, and we've talked to you, and you, no,
again,
you were doing it,
the
you satisfied her.
complication is
She wasn't
the
very
cost, yeah.
happy initially from your person that initially responded, because I thought she was kind of rude and short, okay? And was not sensitive to, what's going on. And I understand her position in being overwhelmed. But we're looking almost 2 years down the road on this issue. And these are pretty nasty. Mine's just a vacant lot that's overgrown with rodents. But, and you did satisfy her answer about bottom line was no funds.
That one's probate.
Yeah.
I think the one that you're talking about is in probate, where there's brothers and
Yeah,
sisters,
supposedly,
and
I
nobody
guess,
can
and
agree
I
to
really
sell
don't know.
or spend the money.
But be as it may, again, where are we gonna finally, say enough's enough and do something? You're talking about putting them on a tax roll, taking care of it, then getting it on their taxes. When is this gonna occur? I mean, we're looking here, July, a year. 4/20, return unclaimed. So we're gonna leave it unclaimed now for another year? I mean, there's gotta be a point where we say, hey, we gotta do something.
I agree with Alex that there needs to be, and it could be a 4-step process. Every 6 months is a step, and but what we don't want to do, I think, is 10 years from now, we're sitting here looking at each other saying, gee, that thing's been sitting there 10 years, I'm getting used to it, I don't even see it anymore. There needs to be something that we get more and more aggressive as time goes on. And I certainly understand the insurance situation. We've all been through that, or a lot of us have. But I can tell you, I personally know somebody that out of state took them 10 years to settle, and that was on the courthouse steps after an appeal and blah, blah, blah. So you can wait for insurance to settle, but sometimes that doesn't even help you much. So anyway, we're happy to help. we're not dropping the ball on you. We understand you've done a great job so far. Whatever we can do to help, but kick it around your group, and if you come up with any ideas, just report back to us, and from time to time, maybe we can just take a look at this list and help us understand how we're moving forward. I know we all can see how we're moving forward. We can see the properties go away. That's great.
Yeah, I saw in the news, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, was it Callaway or Parker One? There was a story about them demoing homes. You know, they were tearing down properties that had been destroyed and they couldn't get to the property. So I know some communities are doing that.
And maybe it's that rental versus primary residence issue too.
Right.
So great. Anybody else have anything on the board? Okay, motion to adjourn.
That's the move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming.
Mario, is anything being done about those two illegal fences on Oleander between C Street and First Street? They actually extend all the
I
way
didn't
out
like
to
the
right
things
to
that you
the
were,
setback. They take up all the setback. right
yeah,
from the alley,
basically, yeah.
6 inches off the alley.
Well, that's why I disapproved it. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Oleander and Sixth Street.
They're on Oleander and they're between C Street and First Street.
Jim, I'll check that.
That's why I was.
Yeah, I could tell she wasn't.
I'll check with Kathy.
I was told, I asked before, I was told the one owner, the guy that lives on C Street, Gina told him he couldn't build it, and he said, call the road. So this guy's definitely an asshole, so. He can put it on.
Doreen went to Secret Heart, he must be texting.
What's wrong?
Free to leave here, that's why.
I didn't know why, but what?
Yeah, we don't know yet, Gina wants, don't know let anybody in whether.
Okay, I think your name is